Hey, welcome to another episode of Two Tunes Podcast, but not just another episode, Bo.
It's this special episode. Special episode number 1.
We teased this a few days ago in episode 68. And this is our special edition, special bonus episode where we are talking with members of Church Girls. Yay, applause. So much applause.
As I said,
we talked about Church Girls on which episode, Bo? Do you have any recollection of that?
I have no idea.
I should have looked it up. Well, on a previous episode, we talked about them. Specifically, do you remember the track? That would be even more helpful.
There would be. I've listened to too many songs by them to know exactly which one.
But we talked about them on a previous episode, and they were kind enough to reach out to us a little bit ago and say, hey, we got a new track coming out. So we got it hidden for now until it's out officially, and we want you guys to check it out. And we were like, oh, that's so awesome. We really appreciate that.
It is out now.
Yeah.
Today.
And so we were like, well, what if we chat with them about it, and then we can put out a little special episode. So that's what we're doing here today. So enough of us, because everybody hears us every week. So
introduce
special
yourselves.
Guests. Who are you? Please introduce yourselves.
I'm Mariel. I sing and play guitar.
And I'm Mitchell, and I play guitar.
And who would we be missing from the band? Who's not with us?
We're missing Vince, who plays bass, and Julian, who plays drums. But we'll be seeing them later today. We're doing a very long rehearsal since we have this European tour coming up. And occasionally we have to play 1.5 hour long sets, which coming from our punk rock world of usually 25 to 30 minute sets, that means we actually really have to rehearse this time around.
It definitely sounds like it. In the code, we don't play that long. We play like 45 minutes, and we've been playing for 20 years.
Yeah, even 45 minutes is kind of long. So
yeah,
Yeah. When you guys do, obviously you're going to play more songs than you would typically play in a normal set, but are you also like sort of rearranging and extending things?
Yeah, we're going to have to extend a couple songs, I think, because also being in a punk rock band, all of our songs are about 2.5 to maybe 3.5 minutes long at most. So like even just our last 2 full-length records, plus a couple of these new singles that we're doing and some older singles, I was like, man, it's only 1:20 when I put them all into a playlist. So yeah, we're going to extend a couple, but we'll make it. It'll be okay.
Sweet. And who are you playing with?
It depends. There are a couple in the UK. We're touring with a band called Other Half, and then throughout Europe, we're just playing with a couple different bands. And for one of the shows, we're opening for Illuminati Hotties. But yeah, otherwise it's just like some local bands around Germany that are playing. A couple of them, it's just us. So it sort of depends on the show.
That's awesome.
When do you guys leave for that?
This Monday.
Monday?
The 25th. Yep.
And then it runs from when to when?
We get home May 30th.
Okay.
So yeah, I think the official dates are April 27th through May 28th, I believe.
Sweet. So if you're listening to this and you're in Europe,
we do have listeners in Europe.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Nice.
Maybe 3.
And we don't know who they are, but that's
at all.
We got them. So how long have you guys been a band? And how did you kind of get started and everything? If you could give us a little bit of that history.
Yeah, well, I kind of started it in 2014. It was really just sort of, I was working a normal office job and had missed working on music the way I had in high school and college and stuff. So I started writing some songs and playing open mics and such, and then did some recording. And one of the songs got picked up by like the local radio station in Philly, WXPN. And then we started getting asked to play shows, and so I had to put a band together. And it started out kind of like my twin brother was the bass player. Like he basically learned bass to be in the band. And, just kind of friends. And then as things got more serious and started wanting to tour and such, had to find bandmates who, were able to leave for weeks at a time. So everyone in this lineup actually got to the band through Craigslist.
Wow.
And yeah, Mitchell's the newest member, and it's been like almost 2.5 years.
Yeah, it's been a while now. I mean, most of that was pandemic time, so
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like it's that long. But yeah, I think 2.5 years now.
Yeah. And the other guy's kind of 3-4 years. Yeah. And it's, this band is great. Like not only do we all really get along on tour and such, and everyone wants to be in a touring band, but, we have a lot of musical chemistry. So it's been a really good situation.
How did you guys get to Philly? Because I know that Mitchell's from LA, or at least at one point was in LA. But where did everyone come from originally?
Yeah, I'm the only Philly. Well, Mitchell, you grew up in New Jersey, if you want to.
Yeah, so I grew up in New Jersey until I was 23, and then I moved to LA. And I auditioned for Church Girls when I was back home on Christmas break. And it was like the last day before I left. And I was like, I don't know, I'm living in LA, but I guess I'll audition. And then they were like, yeah, we're leaving for tour in 3 weeks. Is that cool? And I was like, yep. And so I came back. And then at the end of that tour, that's when COVID hit. All of our shows got canceled. And I got stranded in New Jersey. And I was like, well, I guess I'm moving to Philly. So during 2020 is when I moved to Philly. And, but Vince is from LA originally, which is funny because I'm from New Jersey and moved to LA. He's from LA and moved to Philly. And then Julian is from France originally.
Oh.
And met I don't know when he moved here. I know he met his wife here. And so now he lives in Philly.
He was visiting his friend from France who lived in Philly and met his wife, now wife, of course, and moved to Philly. And then it was pretty shortly after he moved to Philly, he joined the band. And yeah, it's been that. But I grew up here or in the suburbs. And then I pretty much lived in Philly after school on. So, 12 years or something.
Yes. How has like the songwriting process and stuff changed since the band is now a band and not just you, Mariel?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that it's just much more collaborative and way more fun for me. And Mitchell's become really involved in the writing. And yeah, he had joined, like you said, in 2020, our tour got canceled, and then we started working on our record, Still Blooms. And so he and I started writing together, and 4 of the songs on that are co-written. And we really love the way those turned out. So we've kind of decided from here on, all the writing is going to be collaborative. And so he and I kind of like toss ideas back and forth to each other, online, record in Pro Tools, send stuff back, and then we'll bring it to the band, and things get rearranged there. And obviously Vince and Julian throw out ideas. But we just kind of get the general like guitars and vocal melodies and lyrics together, and then work out the arrangement with the band. But I mean, for me, it's just a huge relief to be working with other people because, at least for me, writing songs can be like this weird hole of self-loathing and self-doubt. And having other people to bounce stuff off of, it's like, 1, it makes the song better, and 2, it's just like, it's way more fun for me.
For sure.
Yeah, I think I have the opposite problem where like I just write like 1,000 riffs and none of them ever go anywhere. And so I'm like, all right, well, writing for this, like for Church Girls, has been great for me because it's like, cool, I can write, I don't know how many demos we wrote for Still Blooms, but at least when we were writing these new singles, I think we had like 40 or 50 demos that I just kind of like wrote riffs, and it was like intro, verse, chorus, and that's it. And I would just send them to Mariel like every few days, like, here's a new one. And so that's cool for me because it's like, I don't really have to worry too much about like, oh, what will she think of this one? What will she think of this one? Because it's just like, hey, there's so many, just choose, whatever one you want. And most of them are horrible. And so it's like, whatever. But,
that's not true.
Narrowing down, having that option, I think is great because how Separated started actually is there was 2 separate demos that I made, and we were just like, and plopped them together. And then it's like, we took the verse from one and the chorus from another. And that's how we got Separated. So I kind of like that writing process of starting with riffs or even just a chord progression and then kind of sending all these demos and then figuring out which ones would.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Mitchell's the riff king. I really do that for these 3 singles that we have coming out. Yeah, you sent me 50 demos. So sometimes I'm like, oh my God, it's a lot to sift through, but it's also great because it's like, there are a lot of ideas to work with.
It's a lot for me too. I was like going through my computer recently. I was like, I don't even know. Like I named them the dumbest things. It's just like Church Girls new riff 1, Church Girls new final riff 3. And it's like the dumbest system ever. So I should probably get better at that.
I've always put like the date of when it is. And if I write more than one, it's like a time. So it's like whatever project it is. So like the code and like today's 421. So it'd be like 421.
That's good.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, we've one of the singles that's coming out later. I didn't finish the lyrics and such until recently, even though we had tracked all the instrumentals in.
Mm-hmm.
So it was the 41st riff, and we've been calling it 41 until now.
For
and
months.
it's like even though I have lyrics and I gave it a name, we're all still calling it 41.
Because you're huge Dave Matthews fans, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a tribute.
We released a single, or you released a single today. So what's the story behind that song?
Yeah, I mean, that kind of came from, it was just one of the riffs that Mitchell sent me, and I just loved it right off the bat. I kind of go with, okay, what's grabbing me off the bat? And that one certainly did. And then, I went through a little bit of changes at the verse guitar that I started messing with. And I guess for me, I really try to make sure that I can get a vocal melody in there that's working even before words or anything. Because I don't know, I think for me as a listener, like vocal melody is something I really gravitate towards. And I kind of wrote that in January. I was going through like just a weird, kind of just a rough spell. Like I tend to sort of get down in early January for whatever reason. And was living with my boyfriend, or I still am, but and I was just in this like really depressed state, and I knew that it was irritating him. Not irritating him, but just that me just sort of sulking around for weeks at a time is not like the best situation. And so the song's sort of about that, where it's like, okay, I know I'm depressed. I don't know what to do about it. I'm trying to get out of it. And I know that it's driving you a little bit insane. I kind of said, like, in the little press thing that we sent out, the opening lyrics to the song are rise up at dawn, staring holes of fire at the sun. And that's because every morning I was waking up and going outside and like standing in direct sunlight, because I heard on a podcast that could help with your mood. So it's just a stupid thing that I was doing. How you'll just like hear something on a podcast when you're in a weird state and you're like, well, maybe that'll help. Maybe that's the ticket,
Well, it works for plants, so
That's true.
Yeah. We should say the song is Telepathic Mind as well. That's the track that's out.
We'll play it at the end of this.
We will. Yeah, we'll have it played on there. But yeah, I'm stoked that it's out because I really, really like it a lot. And I was like, I can only listen to it on this secret SoundCloud link for like a week or so. So I'm excited that it's out and, that I can listen to it as much as I want and share it out with people and stuff. So I'm sure. Does that feel like a relief for you guys? Like when finally, like, you've got this single, and like Mariel, you mentioned there's another single that's coming at one point. Like, does it feel good to kind of just get it out there in the world and let it live and breathe?
Definitely. I think Mitchell and I were saying like, I don't know, last night I think both with the European tour coming up and then this release, like I just couldn't sleep last night. I just had this sort of manic brain, but then knowing that it's out and like, some things were set up and people seem to be responding to it well, it's just such a relief. And yeah,
it's been a relief for me. I mean, most of today I just spent like kind of texting friends like, hey, what do you think of the song, and sending them the link. And obviously if they're good friends, they'll be honest with me, but no one's going to be like, yeah, it sucks. Like no one's going to be mean to me. But but everyone had good feedback, and so that's a relief for me. It's just like, okay, like we know we like it, but how do other people like it? And so hearing that other people like it is definitely a relief, especially before we go to Europe and play it a bunch. It's like, all right, it's good to know that it's not a dud, you know?
Yeah. To me, I sort of noticed maybe like not drastically different, but like a little bit of a different sound than maybe like stuff off of Still Blooms. Like, do you guys notice that as well? Is that did you work with a different producer, or is it just, growing as songwriters? I'm not sure. Not even sure what the question I'm asking, but
Yeah, I think so. The same guy mixed this song as did Still Blooms, but we recorded it a little bit differently. We actually recorded it at his studio. And I think he sort of I think his process of mixing Still Blooms, he really got a better understanding of kind of what we should be going for in the actual recording process. And just got, just like a little bit sharper sense of, what church girls' strengths are and such. So that's been helpful. And then, yeah, I think maybe just the process of me and Mitchell like writing together more has been helpful.
I think if this song feels a bit heavier, I don't know, maybe heavier is not the right word, but I think because it's a single, we went into it thinking like, all right, this has to be like really hard hitting and very like concise. Like there can't be any extra like fluff in the song. And so like it's relatively short. It's, probably a bit heavier than our older stuff. So I think that could be part of some of those sonic differences. But even just the mindset of writing a single as opposed to writing a whole album can definitely be different.
Sure. That's Bo's big pet peeve is people just releasing singles. So he's a big album guy.
It's funny because I'm such an album listener, and I've been told by so many people for years, like, we just, it's a single game now. It's a singles game. And I'm always like, shut up. But I will say that there is something nice about just releasing singles. We'll definitely do a record soon enough. But, the process of releasing a record is like, there's so much weight on it feels. And you do all this prep work for like the one release day. And it can just feel like so heavy in a way. And then there's just something nice about like, here's a single, So I can understand why people are gravitating towards that. And also like, we must bow to our Spotify algorithm overlords. So, there's something to it.
So you know anything to say?
Yeah, the I guess it's going to be the last question that I have at least. So this whole podcast is predicated on sharing music and like suggesting what people should listen to and not like your top 40 kind of ideas, even though we've had top 40 people on. But what would
nothing wrong with BTS, Bo?
I know. Well, you balance it out with Dissidente, who is not big at all.
True.
So what would, if you suggest something to our listeners of like, what should they listen to that maybe they don't have any idea who this is? I know it's a big question.
Well, these are certainly two huge artists that many people know that I only recently got into in the last few years, but I've gotten really into Kate Bush and Cocktail Twins.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that it's like, everyone's like, yeah, we know who they are. Those are huge artists. But I'm just saying, for me personally, man, they have been blowing my mind over the last.
I don't know that I've ever actually listened to either one of them, to be honest. I know of them. And like I see lots of songwriters and stuff that I love, especially that reference Kate Bush. But I'm going to add them to my list to listen to now.
Yeah, I mean, great starters are Heaven or Las Vegas by Cocktail Twins. And then for Kate Bush, why am I blanking on the Hounds of Love? I mean, those are like the two big records by both those artists, but like there's a reason why they're considered classics. And songwriting and vocals and production, it's just, those are mind blowers for me.
Nice.
Yeah, I think too, my big influences, especially for songwriting. Drug Church is a big influence. I mean, really everything they've done has been pretty interesting, but especially the last two albums, Cheer and Hygiene, are really great. And I went to go see them a few weeks ago, and there's a band that opened up for them called Lurk, and they're really interesting, especially for punk music. They've got a lot of really cool riffs, and they kind of come off as like, I don't know, you expect to see like this hardcore punk band, but a lot of their riffs are really tasteful and kind of have like a rock and roll vibe to it. So yeah, I mean, just punk can get kind of, I don't know, I guess cliche quickly, and they were really creative for modern punk music. And then I think maybe just in reference to like making short songs that are packed and don't have any filler, like heavier bands can be a good influence for that. Specifically, Nails for me is a really great band. They're kind of a grindy hardcore band. All their songs are super short, and it's just like there's no room for any fluff. It's all like it just pummels you, and then you're done. So I mean, obviously we're not like a grindcore band, but I think that same principle can kind of go into that as like, you don't want your song to lose people's attentions. You want it to be like, you know, hit them where it counts, and then, you know, off they go.
Sweet. You guys want to plug all your socials, website, whatever, tell people where to find you?
Yeah, we're pretty much at Church Girls PHL on everything. PHL's for Philly, of course. Mitchell is our TikTok king, so definitely go follow us on TikTok.
I've been watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bo's, I forgot to follow, but Bo's been mentioning that Mitchell's the man on there. So
I was dragging my feet for a long time because I was like, I don't want to have to do like dances and stuff. Like, I don't know what this is. And then I got on there. I was like, you know what? There's like some older people on here. There's like some cool people. It's not all just like Gen Z kids, you know, dancing. And I've actually been having a lot of fun with it. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, he's blowing things up on TikTok. So yeah, but yeah, like we said, the Telepathic Mind's out today, April 21st, and we're heading out for our European tour. Starts on April 27th. So you're in Europe. Otherwise, we got some other shows in Philly over the summer and a US tour coming up in the fall. So
nice. I
It's
look forward
exciting.
to that because I need to see you guys
same.
live in person, not just on
where are you
YouTube.
guys based again?
Harrisburg.
Harrisburg.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, we're not too far. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being on here. Thanks for chatting with us. We really appreciate you sending the song out early to us as well. That was awesome. And like I said, I'm glad everybody gets to hear it now. And as soon as we hang up here, Bo's going to add it to the end of the podcast as well. So everyone will literally get to hear it like right now. So
Awesome.
thank you again.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a blast. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.